So welcome back to the third episode of Angular 20 tutorial. So till now, in the first episode, we have done the setup and installation. We have created project. How do we run the project? Second episode was mostly on the component, like what are components, how you create the component, what components decorator is, what things we can do in component decorator, why we have three set of file, right? Like we have CSS file, HTML file, .ts, in user component also CSS, HTML, .ts, what is selector, everything we have seen, like how do you create a variable basic and something we have seen, right? Now, today we are going to focus on data binding. So when we say data binding, so data binding is like whatever the data you have, like component, right? So in component, you create some variable. That variable will have some value or data. How do you bind that into the HTML? So that is nothing but data binding. So data binding, again, like in Angular, we have one-way data binding and two-way data binding. In one way, we have interpolation, property binding, and event binding. This is one way. And two way is like using ng model. We will again go through like how, why one way and two way, but let's start now. So what I will do, I will create one more component. For every topic, I will be creating the component name. So you will be also, it will be helpful for you also. When I push the code, it will be helpful for you to check the particular code, particular topic, your code you want to, or you won't need. So you will go to that particular component, ng generate component data binding. Fine. Now, till we have not implemented the routing, so we have to render the component by using its selector in the app component. So app component is our parent component. Fine. So right in the app component.ts. So again, like in previous version up to Angular 19, we used to have file name like app component.html, app component.css, but now that file extension like that name and convention got changed now. It is just now .css, .html, and .ts. Fine. Now in app component, we have to render our data binding component. So first we need to import the data binding class. This is the class of data binding component. Now, once you add this, now let me remove everything. Here I will add app-data binding. This is how you load the data binding. Okay. Now let's run the project. Let's open a new terminal. NGS. So it will run the project. It will first compile and it will run the project on localhost 4200 port. You can change that port also, but for now, I'm not going into that. Let's try to access 4200. So now you can see after H1, you are able to see the data binding works. So this is coming from your data binding component HTML. Let me show you that now. This is the data binding HTML and this is the .ts. Fine. Let's open it side by side. See. Now, we have to, I wanted to install the bootstrap, but for now, let's go with the table. In one episode, I will be explaining the bootstrap. So for now, for designing, I'm just going with the table. Let's say we have tr. Inside that td, one or two td we will create. Fine. Now in .ts, we have to create some variable or data we need to store. So for that, we will create the variable. Let's say course name. Now we are working with TypeScript, right? Along with the data binding, I will be explaining the little bit of TypeScript also. How do you create a variable with the TypeScript? So first your variable name, then you can provide the data type also, string is equal to the value Angular 20 tutorial. So you see, this is how you declare a variable along with the data type. So in JavaScript, you cannot provide the data type, but in TypeScript, you can strongly type any variable. Means you are saying like this variable will contain only string type of data. Okay. This is one way how you declare the variable. Now in constructor, since it's a class, we can have an access to the constructor. So now see, if I try to access, let's say from this class, if I want to access any variable, so I access that by using this or function by using this. This will points to the class. So you can see once I press dot, only one variable we have. So it is suggesting equal to if I'm trying to access 1, 2, 3 over here. See, we are getting error because the data type we have said is string. So you cannot store integer or any boolean or any type of data. This is strongly typing. Means while declaring variable, you are adding a restriction also, like only string type of data can be saved. Okay. Now let's create one more variable. Let's say product price colon number is equal to, let's say, 12,500. Fine. So what we have done, we have created two variable. Now let's say whatever the value you have in this variable, you need to display it. So what we can do first way is interpolation. So interpolation is like directly you can use double curly braces, and inside that double curly braces, you can access the variable course name. Let's save, let's save. So you can see Angular 20 tutorial is coming. Let's say in second TD, I want to display this product price. So again, curly braces, this. See, 12,500 also I'm able to see. Let's add style, wait. Okay. So this is the first way, that is interpolation. Okay. Either you can display that in anywhere like this, or let's say you have a span tag, and inside span tag you want to display the value. So this is also possible. See, clear? So this is what called interpolation. So whenever we have to, like, variable data or something is there and you want to display that in your template HTML, so you will use double curly braces, and you will use the variable. Just for the time, let's say if I'm trying to access full name over here, it is giving me error because obviously no full name variable, I don't have it over here. So if you have not created variable, how you are able to access it? You can't. So that is the error. So if you got this error like property does not exist, means the variable which you are trying to access, you have not created it. Okay. So you cannot access a variable which is not created. Fine. Now, so now in second TD, what I will do, I will use the input. Now, how do you render a by default value to the text box? We have value attribute, let's say ABC. So once I save, my text box will render with the value ABC. See, value I got. Now, instead of this ABC, this is hard code, but I want to access a course name variable over here. So what I can do, instead of this, I can use double curly braces over here also. See, my text box rendered with the variable value. So this is also possible. Okay. So you can use interpolation like this also, or you can pass, you can use interpolation inside any property attribute value also. Okay. Let's try one more thing. Let's say max length is equal to colon number is equal to, let's say, 5. I have created a variable which is having name max length, and I have stored a value 5. Let's create a one more TD input. And here, you know that max length is there, which will allows you to allows you to restrict how many characters you can pass. So over here also I'm passing this max length. Okay. Let's save it. Okay, it is giving error. Okay, so max length I think we cannot use. So we have to go for a property binding. Okay, anyway. So some things only we can use like this. Now, this is interpolation, double curly braces. So whatever the variable value we have, that will be rendered over here. So that's why one way from .ts to .html, right? From here, we are not sending something over here. From .ts, we are able to access the value in the .html. So that is one way. Okay. So in one way, we have three ways, right? Interpolation by using curly braces. Second is property binding. Now, just now we have tried to provide a max length. So max length is my property, right? If I have to provide a value to this max length, which is coming from another variable. So what I can do, I can wrap this attribute into square bracket. Okay. Then here I can pass the variable. Why it is giving error? Cannot bind max length since it is known property of input. Let's try to change it. No, why it is giving error? Let's try max. Max it is allowing. Why max length is not allowing? Very strange. This is working, but if same thing I'm making it a dynamic, it is giving me error. Saying cannot bind max length since it is non property of input. Very strange. Okay, anyway, for now, let it be. Okay, so we have said max length as 5. And in that variable, what do we have? 5. Just like that, let's create one more variable, min character number is equal to, let's say, 3. And here, min length. Okay, I think that was capital or something. Let it be. Fine, let's try now. So we have this text box. Let's try to inspect it. And here you can see max is equal to 5 and min length is equal to 5. Okay. So we are adding the restriction, right? So max length, min length, like that. Okay. So whatever the properties you have, that you can add. One more variation. Let's say I'm creating a variable input type, colon data type string. In this variable, I'm storing radio. Okay. Now I have a variable where I have input type. Now this, instead of this static, I am going to wrap it up and I will pass it over here. See now what I got? Radio button. If I make this variable checkbox, I will get the checkbox. See, so my input type is also dynamic now. So whatever the properties or the attributes you have on the HTML element, everything you can make it dynamic. Everything. Okay. Let's say one more thing. What we can do, class is there. Let's create a class. In data binding component.ts, I'm creating a class. Let's say dot my color. I'm just creating a class. Let's say color, red. I need some font size. Let's say 25px. So I have created a class. Let's say this class name I'm going to store into one of the variable. My class name. Data type, colon data type string is equal to, and I will provide the class name. So whatever the class I have created, that name I have stored into variable. Now in another TD, let's have a paragraph. This is sample para. Now this is class we can add. Now let's make it dynamic. So wrap it up in a square bracket. And now you can pass the variable. In this variable, we already have the class name. So now see, this paragraph has that class applied, my color. Got it? So as I said, either it is type, max, min length, class, whatever the attributes you have, everything you can make it dynamic by using property binding. These are, we can call it as a attribute also or property also. So whenever, let's say you have to pass some dynamic value to your any attribute or the property, you can use property binding. So this is interpolation and this is property binding. Sometimes we can use interpolation over here also, but with max length, it was not working. So sometimes you cannot use that also. Okay. So this is property binding. Now, next third thing is event binding. So how we write events, like you, if you know the JavaScript, you, let's say on the button click, you need to show some alert. So what you write on click and function name, right? So now how you create the function. So in TypeScript, everything what you do will be inside the class. So after constructor, let's say show welcome message, just a function I'm creating like this. So in normal JavaScript, what you do, you create function like this, correct? So no need of this function keyword over here. Directly function name, round bracket and the parenthesis. Fine. In this, I'm going to use an alert box. So whatever you know from the JavaScript, it stays the same. Little bit syntax different is there. That's what I'm always saying. Like you don't have to waste time again learning. Try to learn in learning. TypeScript separately, because so minimum things we use, and while working in Angular, we can learn it also. Okay. Let's say welcome to Angular 20. Fine. Now I have created a function. Now this function I need to call on a button click. Okay, so what I can do, let's create a tr, td, let's have a button, show message. Now on click of this button, we need to call this function. So in normal JavaScript, we used to write on click, but now here events will go into the square bracket and that on word is not there. Directly click event. See what are the possible events you have now. All you can see it over here. These are all possible events. Okay. So what's the event we have? Click. And you need to call this function. Remaining things are same. How you call it around bracket. So now once you click on the button, this function will get triggered. And in this function, we have an alert box. So let's see. If I click on this button, see, we got the alert box. Understood? This is how you do. Let's try one more scenario. You know that we have this variable course name. By default, in this variable, we have got Angular 20 tutorial. Let's say change course name. We have created one more function. In this function, we have to change the value of that variable. So this dot course name is equal to new value. Let's say React JS tutorial. Okay. So I have created a function where in that function, what I'm doing, I'm changing the variable value of course name to something else. And this variable, I'm using it multiple places over here also, over here also, over here also. Okay. Now I need one more button. So just I'm copy pasting and on this button click, I will be calling this function. Let's change the change course. Fine. So now on click of this button, I will be calling this function. And in this function, we are changing the variable value. So see now what happens. Currently, by default value is Angular 20 here also and here also. Once I click on this button, wherever I'm using this variable, everywhere new value will be reflected. See, once I click here also React.js, here also and here also. Got it? So this thing was not possible in in Angular, because if the variable value get changed and again if we want to display the new value, again we had to replace the whole means by inner HTML or inner text, we used to again change the value also. But in Angular, because of how data binding works, you don't have to worry about that. Once the variable value change, wherever you are using that variable, that value gets changed automatically. Okay. So this is your event binding. Let's try one more. Let's say we have a drop down, right? Normally click and change event. These are the mostly used. 80% we use these two event. Again, mouse in, key down, mouse over, all these events are there. But you also know if you belong from another technology also, mostly click and the change event. These are the two events which we use. Sometimes we use scroll, sometimes we use mouse related event. Okay. Now let's say we have option Pune, Nagpur, Mumbai. Okay, so we have created a drop down. Now, once the drop down value get changed, I need to show a pop-up. So for that, let's create a function on city change. Okay, so we have created a function. Now this function we need to call, but let's show the alert also. We will say city change. Now, once the drop down value get changed, we need to call this function. So we have change event. So again, round bracket, change event is there, and we will call this function over here. Okay, let's try save. Now, by default, our Pune is there. Once I change it to Nagpur, see our alert pop-up is coming. Means our function gets executed. Okay. Again, if I open and select the Mumbai, nothing is going to happen because value didn't change. Our event type is change event. Whenever a value change, then only this event will trigger. So this is your event binding. Okay. Now in case of what do we say, interpolation and property binding, it was from .ts to .html. But in case of event binding, it is from HTML to .ts, because we are doing something HTML and in vice versa, something is triggering from our .ts. So vice versa is happening. Fine. Now the last one is the ng model. This is the mostly used directive. And if you understand ng model, you will be compatible in Angular. Okay. Because how JavaScript work, because if you are from .NET or Java background, or if you just know the JavaScript, how things works over there and what thing you can do with ng model is something else. Okay. Let's see now. Again, just to repeat, like if you are new, please do like and subscribe. Fine. Now, let's create one more TD, and here I will have a text box. Now, we have created this variable. Okay. This variable we have used over several places. Here also, here also, here also. We have binded this variable on the value. Let's try to change the text box value. I'm changing the text box value, but nothing is happening. Means we have used property binding. So property binding is one way. Whatever the value you have initially, that only it will display. Okay, if you change the text box value, only text box value is getting changed. This value is not going to get assigned to your variable. But let's say you want something, you have a variable, that variable and your text box should be in a sync. Means variable value get changed, text box should show the updated value, and text box value get changed, that value should get stored to your variable. It should be in a sync. So to do that, we have to use ng model. So ng model is a directive. To use ng model, we have to import forms module. Now from Angular 17, we have got all components are standalone. So whatever you need, you import over here only. Previously, we used to have app module, but now we don't have it. So whatever you need in that particular component, you import it that in the component itself. Okay. Now, so we have imported forms module. Now we have this text box. So here I will bind ng model. So square bracket, round bracket, ng model. M is capital. Okay. And same variable, I'm binding it over here. See now the magic. Same variable I'm using at 4 places. Here also, here also, here also, and here also. If I change something over here, see, it is changing everywhere. Means whenever you are changing the text box value, whatever you type in the text box, that value gets stored into the variable also. Getting it? See, if I'm writing my name, see everywhere my name is getting displayed. So how ng model works is like you have to create a variable. That variable you bind it to a text box, drop down any input element by using ng model directive. Whenever you change the variable value, that input element will display the latest value. If you change the input value, that input value will get stored to your variable. Vice versa it happens. Okay. So this is ng model directive. Again, if I click on the change course, so in change course, I'm changing the variable value inside the function. So see, currently it is Chetan, Chetan, Chetan. If I click on this, see, here also I'm able to show the latest value, here also and here also. So if variable value get changed, ng model will show the latest value. If text box value get changed, ng model will help you to update that variable value with the text box value. Okay. So whatever the input elements you have, either text box, drop down, check box, text area, on every input element where user can provide the value input, you can use ng model. Okay. Drop down, checkbox, radio button, text area, everywhere you can use ng model. So this is your data binding. These are the all possible ways of data binding. Again, Angular version are going to keep changing, but this is same from Angular 2 plus. Okay. In Angular 2, 4, 6, well, up to 16 or 17, even 20 also. These things are common. It's not going to change, and it's not going to change in the future also. Might be some new way might be there, but it is going to be the same. Okay. So this is how we have done data binding. I hope you are easily able to understand what I'm delivering. If not, you can feel free to add some comment, provide me the suggestion also, so that in next episode, I will be able to cover that. If you are new, please do like and subscribe. In the video description, you will be finding a link of WhatsApp channel. You can join that. I take so many of live session. You can get the notification of that. We already have around 7,000 people already joined who are mostly working. Fine. So that's it. Thank you guys.